Yeah, so let's get going. So yeah, thanks very much everyone for joining. It's great to have you here, and hopefully we can bring something of value, something interesting uh, to you. So yeah, I'm Philip, and I do technical wise, it's food safety and quality is my area, and Naishad's the director of the show, and he's the product development whiz, as I usually say, in various situations. But I just want to start or next thing, just giving a shout out to Linda. So glad you could join us, Linda. And, you're, I've certainly known you for several years, and I really respect your professional, views and opinion and everything in your nutrition space. So yeah, I guess you're certainly preferred collaborator and somebody I hold in quite high regard in the nutrition space. So it's great to have you here.
I appreciate your words, Philip, and likewise I reciprocate for your educational prowess.
Thanks, Linda. And just want to say, while Naishad and I are going to be having a bit of a discussion, I really welcome, and not welcome, but encourage anyone to just sting out. And, if you've got some comment, got a question, you want to challenge something that one of us has said, anything at all, then, just do so. We, want this to be as interactive as possible, and not sort of a, one way sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we want to make it like more kind of a podcast style where we just do more interaction and feel free to ask any questions in between. Originally, we were supposed to do it together. Unfortunately, I had COVID whole week and still recovering. So we are on separate screen today. So all good. Anyways, let's start.
Let's start. All right. So it's the whole purpose of this, especially at the end of the year, is to see where we've come this year, in food manufacturing, and what we've seen over that time, and therefore also looking forward to the next year and seeing what we might actually anticipate in the coming year, and what's sort of surprising or not surprising, or what we thought might have happened but didn't happen, and things like that. So I think there's no real surprise that beverages have always been an in-demand area, but they've really seem to have really boomed this year, especially basic tea and coffee. And I remember back in July when attending Food Pro, I really noticed that. And you also said in particular about tea from where you attended in some trade show in Sydney, and I know that most of the products, like what you were saying, 75% or something that we've developed have been in the beverage area, whether that's powdered or liquid or frozen slash liquid. But while that may be an expertise area, it's certainly no use having that expertise if it's not in demand. So there's no doubt that there's strong demand for continuing demand for certain beverages. And so what do you see, I suppose, as, I mean, you've seen that tea and coffee space, haven't you? Quite
yeah. So the way I look at it, right? I mean, you're right that when we just recently, last week we were doing some because of the end of the year, we were understanding how many beverage product we've done. It was over 75% of our business for the first time has clicked into ready to drink beverages or ready to mix, be it frozen, be it ready to powdered or liquid format. We saw in Food Pro, there was a rise in tea in Naturally Good in Sydney this year. We've never seen the whole section full of coffee and teas. So it was growing. There was an indication that also justified the fact amount of products what we've developed in that space. But to just to give you more understanding, right? The whole global ready to drink tea market is experienced significant growth. Primarily, it's more by shifting consumer preferences, increasing their health consciousness, demand for more convenient and natural beverages. So we are seeing that it was valued at around 34.3 billion as far as US dollars in 2022, and now it's projected to grow to 48 billion by 2028. So just sort of gives you an understanding how big massive surge you've got, right? In popularity of ready to drink tea. And this is only about the tea what I'm talking about. What are the market? There are market trends more on premiumization, more on health consciousness, as I said, more flavor diversity. There's massive online expansion as well. So e-commerce sort of playing a rapid role in distributing this whole ready to drink tea. So it's all the outlook in terms of the projections and everything. It's showing that there's definitely it's on a rise, and we are going to see that more. And most other importantly, we've already signed up almost another 7 different clients on ready to drink products. So it's not stopping, and I don't think it's going to stop, because people are looking for something more alternative, which is more natural, which is more healthier. Forget about even we've got Nestle's the peach tea, no sugar version as well, which has come into in a picture right now. But then you see a lot of prebiotics drinks, a lot of any other functional beverages, be it nootropics, uh, ready to drink, even in coffee as well. You're gonna see rise in high protein coffee. So this is where the market is growing, and it's
So there's no
more.
doubt that it's really a bandwagon, isn't it?
It is.
It's really, yeah, really taking off. And like you touched on the functionality or the functional beverages, and so that's really where things are going, isn't it? And especially like ancient, well, ingredients from ancient and traditional medicines and things like that.
There is. When you talk about nootropics, it's all about people are focusing now more on functionality based on it's more personalized. So if you are looking for more uh, gut health sort of thing, or mental health sort of thing, or sleep health, those are the key functionalities where we are seeing more development within the beverage space as well. So when you talk about those ancient herbs, or other ingredients which has been used, like adaptogens, right, mushrooms, or talking about the ashwagandha and some other, right, L-theanine or ginseng and those sort of things. So you are definitely seeing those rise. From our recent trip to Vietnam, we saw that panel, ginseng entire root into a bottle, right? So we generally get extract here, but then they had the entire ginseng root with kind of a reddish, with all the roots inside, and just with flavored water, right? So you are going to see more natural products out there now.
Yeah, that's no doubt the case. Now that I've spoken a bit about, or feel pretty excited about CBD, and I really that I couldn't go through this sort of a discussion without bringing that up. And I was skeptical at first, but I just feel that we're on the verge of something big in that sort of space. What do you do you think so? Are people here getting warm to that like they are in other parts of the world?
I wouldn't disclose too much, because we already started doing work for somebody. But there is this price which is there's definitely about to break open, right? Because there's one product out in UK, and a beverage product called Trip, and it's CBD infused drink, flavored water. So seeing that surge, I think it's only gonna happen in Australia as well. on the good side is that fazaans allow CBD extract to be used at certain level. Now we are
Ah,
still working with some food legal team sort of thing, the legal lawyers, food lawyers and everybody to understand these standards, because in UK food standards, right, it is considered novel. You need to go through the novel registration, but you are still allowed to add that, right? Whereas here it has been put under prohibited, plants, but with an exception that you could use it. Now when I say CBD without THC, so nothing more which can sort of make you, go, which has a psychoactive sort of effect, whereas this is more sort of on a medicinal side. So it has to be CBD without, I think, with low THC, and I think it's, I think,
mm,
0.5 percent of, or mg per something for THC, whereas
mm,
limit is 75 milligrams or 75 parts per million sort of thing
mm.
of CBD itself in a beverage or any food.
Yeah, okay. Now, in the context of our discussion, we haven't mentioned, whether they're alcoholic or non-alcoholic or what, but, how do you see that some of these might translate into the alcoholic space? But then also, you know, what do you think is actually happening in the so-called non-alcoholic beverages, where, like a year or two back, there seemed to be quite a boom in that, and I don't know whether it's just me or what, but I seem to have seen that go a bit cold of late. Are there
Uh,
some challenges that are being like reached and we don't have the science to break through that, or am I just,
No, there
out
is
of it?
there is definitely a rise in non-alcoholic beverages. But what, until now, so for example, I'll sort of give you an understanding of, there's a rise in alcoholic as well as non-alcoholic. So, but what's coming out in, I won't even use the word rise, but there's more innovations coming out of alcoholic, and that was because there was a massive surge of non-alcoholic product trying to mimic certain
Ah,
spirits or something like that. So what we are seeing now in alcoholic itself, that we're seeing a lot of bigger brands also coming with products with real what the natural, infused ingredients, so like botanicals, right? So we saw, I mean, I think it was late last year, we saw a rise of, a lot of Australian native ingredients were being, infused inside, be it gin, vodka, or any other spirits, right? So it was already going through. So there's this whole space, more innovative space, where new beverages are coming out in alcoholic. Similarly, there was a trend to create to mimic alcoholic drinks, but it was non-alcoholic, right? But now the market sort of diverted a little bit and sort of pushed more towards creating a natural soft drink, rather than mimicking that flavor of vodka or a gin or something. So it has to, for example, right, I mean, wine, until now, most of the wines which non-alcoholic wines were made just by, so it still goes through the same process of winemaking. It still has alcohol, but then you de-alcoholize the normal wine through the process, right? And that was the extra step. But we are seeing people getting into creating non-alcoholic wines, but using actual real ingredients, rather than
mm,
de-alcoholizing or doing the same thing, but uh, being more innovative. So be it, if it's Shiraz, then what are those notes present in Shiraz, and trying to put that along with real ingredient, be it rosemary or some, just to give you an
mm,
idea. This is the space what we see that it will grow, and it should grow, because I feel that if people need to consume alcoholic drinks, right, I mean, they would probably do it. It's I mean, there are good products out there, don't get me wrong, but I feel that it has to be more on the basis of natural and real ingredients. And I think
mm.
we've always focused on it, that to work with real ingredients rather than using any unhealthy, or a bulking agent or something. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, for sure. Now, we're keen to move on to the plant-based product space, but before that, I just, felt that a discussion on beverages isn't really complete without looking into sweeteners and that sort of stuff. And yesterday, I had the chance to be part of a sensory analysis session where I actually on sweeteners, where I actually got to taste like various concentrations of a monk fruit solution, and that was so different to me. Like it was like a wow. I've never had it on its own, and it was just such like sucrose was just felt bland compared to this monk fruit. It was a great great experience, you know. So yeah, and allulose was also included in it, and I was quite disappointed with the allulose actually, because I've been quite a fan of that since it hasn't been allowed here, and I've just been a fan of it, but I was quite disappointed in its taste profile, flavor profile, and sweetness profile, everything really. But yeah, what do you think? Because I know you are a fan of using tomatin
Yes.
in products, and yeah, what do you think of that, or some of the
So,
other more
I
conventional?
mean, look, there are natural sweeteners, right? I mean, and they are like high intensity sweeteners. And we've all seen stevia, we've seen monk fruit. I'm a personal bigger fan of tomatin, and that's just me, because tomatin is 2,000 times sweeter than sugar. You have to add very little, and then I wish I had a screen, or I could use the whiteboard sort of to show you why I like using tomatin. It's just because, I mean, just visualize like a normal chart, right? And where your sugar is, the graph of sweetness goes straight up and then comes down, right? So it picks up and then goes. So when you are having a normal sugar, basically what happens that you're gonna get that sweetness punch straight away. So it picks up and then it goes down. Whereas what we've seen with stevia, a lot of people have complained about off taste, a lingering taste, right? People are sensitive about with that. So with stevia, the issue with stevia is that on that same chart where the sugar was going up straight away, the stevia takes, for example, consider 3 second leg, right? Or 4 second leg to get that sweetness. So you're not getting that sweetness straight away. So there's a lag, then it picks up, but then it sort of slowly goes down and lingers around. And that's what you're seeing on the back of your palate. Similarly with monk fruit, if stevia's 5 second lag, monk fruit is sort of between 3.5 to 4 second lag, but there's still lag, although it disappears quickly. So you're not getting that sweetness. People's perception of sweetness is like, you need to get that sweetness straight away. And that's why you see a lot of times stevia being used with erythritol, monk fruit being used with erythritol, right? So you are seeing those things and try to bring that gap as close to like sugar content, so or sugar power, like that sweetness note. So whereas tomatin, it's not close, like it's not as good as sugar, but it's not even 5 seconds, or it's not even 4 seconds. It's somewhere between 2.5, right, or 2. So you are getting that sweetness straight away, but it does not lingers around, so it goes down quickly, right? So the and the amount what you use is very tiny, and so it's probably going, most of the beverages it would go at 0.01% or 1 point, 0.015% max, and I think it delivers the job. We are seeing a lot of products coming out with tomatin now, and tomatin itself is also a fruit. It's a protein out of African catamfe fruit. So it's not as like I mean, again, monk fruit is also a fruit, so it's all natural. It is high intensity sweetener, so I kind of use that through tomatin. Late last year, we developed couple of products out for a brand called Surasa in India. We've done a product in a liquid format and a powdered format to replace sugar. So it was zero point 0.5 grams of that powder will be equivalent to 2 teaspoons of sugar as a sugar replacement. for diabetic people, and then 0.1 mil of that drop would be 2 teaspoon of sugar as well. Now it is currently under patent. They're recently probably getting launched as well. So I personally feel that Tomatin is a way to go ahead. Talking about allulose, no, I mean, I feel that we need to sort of start bringing them in. I'm like, of course, it does have does have side effects, but to the level where it does not, we need to approve it. When you asked me, I know you were going to ask me that question because when we talk about sweetness, you always ask. So I actually did some work this afternoon and was looking at it, and we are still sitting at the same things. It is considered non-traditional and still considered novel food. So and it's only because the safety hasn't been established here on Australian New Zealand population. So currently. It may have adverse effects in humans at high levels of intake. So at this point of time, it's not allowed, but I'm sure this year, coming next year, it probably be like not novel sort of thing. So yeah.
I know. Well, hopefully those studies get done and we can start bringing in allulose.
But until then, I feel that Tomatin is a way to go.
Yeah. Can I just ask you a question? You're saying about the sweetness perception, and that's a good selling point. With the move towards health, which you said is in all the beverages, do you feel that there is a space for something that doesn't give you that immediate sweet hit if you're selling the health benefits of it?
But good question. But what we are seeing, I'm a fan of Tomatin, right? But then what we are seeing is also that people have used so a lot of brands have come out with stevia monk fruit Tomatin, right? And people are not getting used to it. And what people have realized now with this whole COVID has put us it's the more biggest catalyst in terms of reforming people's health, right? People are looking at you need to eat and consume healthy. But what they are most of the clients and most of the consumer research what we are doing, what we are seeing that they don't even mind having real sugar in the product as long as it is controlled and it's not added at 20 grams per a bottle, right? We recently we were developing some sodas and we were comparing some of the products out in the market and what we are trying to reduce. And one of your normal plastic cup, right, was half full in that 250 ml bottle, right? So if we are somewhere between 2 to 5 grams or even 2 to 3 grams, I think it's still gonna give you a better mouthfeel body to your drink than because we try different ways, because sugar is the one which gives you body and mouthfeel to your drink, right? We try different alternatives by using glycerin in it, vegetable glycerin, right? Just a little bit to sort of bring that to bring that sort of body and mouthfeel, and it's still natural without adding sugar. So there are different ways to do it, but I still think that next year we will see a lot of products without sweeteners, with real sugar, but at very controlled levels.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I guess in the last few minutes, we wanted to just have a look at plant-based products, and we know that the first generation of those, was very much in the space of taste and texture, but really compromised on nutrition. So they were really trying to mimic the products, without giving the nutrition that the animal ones would, right? And plus, to get that, there's been, they have to process them quite substantially. And from what we've read in that Mintel report, there's people that, while initially it was fine, or they were, happy with the uptake of those, there's been like a move away because of that processing, or the amount of processing, which is probably bordering on, or maybe it is ultra processed food. So yeah, I mean, where do you think that's moving? And do you see that there's nothing that can be, there's no existing, I suppose, existing processing that can actually achieve that, and cell-based meat is the way to go? I mean, in terms of meat alternatives, or is there something else? I don't know. Can precision fermentation, which we were talking about earlier, fulfill or contribute to this as well?
Like I mean, glad we're talking about it, because I mean, I read an article yesterday. I can't remember the exact figures, but I think it was over 60% of the vegan restaurants in New York, or in US, I mean, and specifically they were talking about New York, though, that there were vegan restaurants 3-4 years back, but now they're selling meats. And it's not because people don't people are going back, but it's more because, like, we are focused, and this is what I feel, that, like, we are focused so much on trying to mimic meat, as you said, and without any giving any consideration to nutritional, like, health perspective. Because everything, as per the Mintel report as well, that, like, majority of that products are high in saturated fats, or, like, high in sodium, and some of those ingredients what they were using. Whereas comparing to, and I think we did a post online, right, comparing against your veggie patty, which is made of real vegetables, I think it still make more sense for people to consume that. I feel that definitely cell based, like, products will be probably more relevant in this space, because it will, if there is an like, people, if there is an issue with more ethical reason, people are not consuming meat, then I think that cell based and lab grown meats is the way to go, right? I mean, because it's not harming any animal, but it's also more sustainable. So I feel that that is definitely a path moving forward. What we see, precision fermentation is again another very good technology, and I feel that we are going to see Australia adopting to that, and Fazens especially will approve it probably in 2024. And I really hope that we do that. We are currently doing some R&D in-house uh, on a beverage from a whey protein, which is non-animal whey, which is actually made through precision fermentation. So we have already started doing those trials, because I personally believe that next year, when it gets approved, we need to make sure that there are some formulations, and we need to already have some answers, because it's still 1.0, if you know what I mean, right? It's still not going to be exact tasting, so we'll still need to make it flavorful by adding flavors or whatever. But, like, there's definitely a move towards it, and I see by within 10 years it will be just as a buying normal meat in supermarket through lab grown.
Goodness me, that's a exciting space, and no doubt it's
It has to be. I mean,
real
it is exciting.
game changing.
And there's a Melbourne-based company who's doing it, Magic Valley, who's created lab-grown pork and lab-grown lamb. So yeah, a big shout out to them, because I've met them a couple of times now.
Yeah, it's great when you have local innovative businesses like on your doorstep. Really forging into a new space and breaking barriers and creating a game-changing product and that sort of thing. Yeah, well, it's right on 17:30. So it'll be good to finish on time. But does anyone want to have any last comments, ask any questions, anything that's come up for you that you want to raise?
Yeah, I must admit, the point you made about people thinking that a vegan and vegetarian diet is automatically healthy, but quite often it's ultra processed. Yeah, as a nutritionist, I would never recommend anyone go down the fake meat route. But the lab grown meat, I could absolutely get behind. So I'd be really interested to follow where you're going with that. Because, yeah, I always encourage people to do more your vegetable patties and things rather than the processed. Because a lot of the the water-soluble vitamins just are killed off when you process them, so you're not getting any of the health benefits, or very minimal. Yeah, so no, interested to follow where that goes.
And I think it's more to do with ultra processing, right? I mean, we recently purchased, I can't remember the brand name, but then it had, of course, it had high protein, like, just a fake meat sort of thing, but it also had a lot of gluten in it, like wheat gluten, right? So that's giving you protein, but it's also like, since when we've been considering, like, eating flour based thing healthy, right? I mean, as a nutritionist, you probably would know, like, if we eat less, I mean, more on the less carb side of the things, right? So I think it's more ultra processed in that sense. So yeah, anyways, I personally would select, like, I try almost everything, because it's my job to do that, right? Because I'm more curious to know how those things taste and how it is made. But yeah, I would prefer any day, like, any vegetarian meal over it. So yeah.
Great, excellent. Okay, well, yeah. If anything else from anyone else? If not, we will probably wrap up and really evaluate all of your attendance. And yeah, good to catch up and have a bit of a discussion as to what's happening this year and next year, and what we might see, and what the hurdles are, and what the exciting innovations that are coming up. So yeah, Naishad, you want anything?
No, I think you've covered it all. Thanks guys for joining in for your, like, Friday evening. So yeah, thank you very much. Means a lot for us. And yeah, if you've got, like, any other questions even after the webinar, please shoot us an email. I mean, we are more than happy to answer those things. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, look forward to seeing you at our next event then.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Thanks, folks. Take care.
Thank
Eh?
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.